Hello everyone, welcome to the next session of SAP Basis Training. In this section, we will learn about technical steps which is involved in the import process. This helps you to identify the relationship between TP as well as the R3 trans program which is running in the operating system level, and as well as the RDD import programs also will help you to identify the problems or identify if there is any issues during the import process. This import process, the software logistic, is quite important as a basis consultant, because in any matured system, once the system is implemented, the changes and this import process is going to happen forever. So it is very important that we know the import steps very clearly in the day-to-day operations. Okay, here you can see the sequence, the TP process sequence. That means when the TP process each import steps collectively in all import queue, meaning to say when you do a mass import, let's say when we had the mass import means that you import all the TRs. That means so many TRs. You will have many TRs which needs to be imported at that particular time. This is called mass import. That's again depends on your strategy. You need to have proper strategy when you are going to import. Let's say you don't import the TRs in the productive system every day, or let's say in the service window time, you need to import the TRs in the productive system only after the users completed their daily operations, meaning to say you need to have a proper strategy and import procedures. Let's give us some example. Let's say you import the TRs only after the service window. Let's say the service window is morning 9 to 6, that is the time the company is operating, or 9 to 9. Then you need to start the import after this period. The reason behind that is whenever you are changing any program, that means when you import a program to the productive system, the program is going to be replaced with the new versions which you have changed. So during the time, if any user using this program is going to be a problem, then the user will have an inconsistency and the user will get some errors. So in order to avoid these problems, so it is better always import the TRs when there is no users in the system. And this also, like you need to have a strategy when you do a mass import. Mass import means importing of all the projects. So bigger changes into the productive system. And bug fix import, let's say you have found some bugs, you need to fix it. That imports needs to be imported every day. Let's say you can import the bug fixes every day, and the mass import can be done maybe on the Saturday, Sundays when no users available in the system. This kind of strategy, this you need to define based on your business criticality. So that is a different process itself. How do you define the import steps? So we are discussing about when you import any mass import, that means many TR at one time, then it is important to understand that TRs is not going to be imported in sequence, meaning to say, let's assume in this particular TR DEVK900827 will be imported first, then it's finished, then it's going to start the 833. No, it's not the case. It is going to import all these TRs collectively. However, if you select one TR first and import one single TR, finish that, second TR, then finish that, third TR, then you import that, you finish the import, then you go to the third TR, then it's a different story. Then it will be imported based on what you are selecting. But if you are doing a mass import, then it's not going to import in the sequence. It will collectively import the TRs. Meaning to say, it will define the steps which needs to be executed for all the TRs. If you see here, you can see these TRs need DDIC process. Okay, DDIC process for these three TRs, and these three TRs also required the activation process. And you have then the main one, the one step which is required for all the TRs to be imported. Then you like this, you have different steps. So these steps will be sequentially organized by the TP programs. Then it's going to import the TRs, all the TRs based on the steps which we have defined. Okay, step 1 is DDIC, then step 2 is activation, step 3 is main one, then you go to versioning, then you go to execution of user defined, then we go to execution of user defined activity, and so on. So we have many steps which needs to be executed collectively. So all the TRs, let's assume all the TRs are going to be imported in the same time. Okay, but you have different sequence for each TR, depends on what kind of objects which is present in the particular TR. Let's say if you go to the next slide, it's more detail. You can see in this slide, these are all the import steps which will be executed in sequence. When we seen the import log in our SAP system after the TR has been imported, then you seen the logs. We have different steps. So these are all the steps which will be executed in the import steps. And these steps is first defined by the TP in a proper table format so that the TP can execute it in proper way. Okay, so when you say import all command, it does not means it process all the step in one request. For example, if you detect an error in the object that has already been released, you correct the object and release it again. Meaning to say, you've had a program and you found some errors in the quality system, but you went back to the development system, you fixed it, and you created a second program, a second version, and you also released the second version. So what happens here is that these two TRs who contain, let's assume these are all the two TRs, and this one is the two TRs which contains the same program, but it's going to be imported in the same time. So what happens is it will import this TR on the particular step, activate this program, there's going to be error, then it's going to import the second TR in the same sequence and found the same thing is actually working fine, there is no error. So meaning to say the particular, even though the first TRs went on error, the second TR already fixed it. Okay, that is the advantage of the entire mass import process. So only the correct version of transport will be activated and generated in the productive system. Okay, provided you have the correction TRs in the sequence, in the proper sequence. So it's very important what sequence you are releasing the TRs. Okay, now let's see what are all the steps we have in the import sequence. These are all the detailed steps which is available in the import sequence. However, we can define all these things into 4 major steps. The first one is importing dictionary object. First one you can see DDIC, which is importing dictionary objects, and the second one is this thing we can call it together, which is the second step, deal with the dictionary object. So it will do quite a lot of activity in this time, that is dealing with the dictionary object. And then the third step is the main import, that means the importing of all other things except the 1 and 2, and the fourth one is dealing with all other objects which is not part of this 1 and 2, or we can say everything else. Now let's see what is the first step, DDIC 1. DDIC 1 is dictionary ABAP dictionary import. In this step, the dictionary objects, the above dictionary structure data is imported into the system inactively. That time it's not going to be active. When the time of import, it's not going to be active. If let's say if it is an existing dictionary, then the existing dictionary will be active. The new one will be imported inactive. Okay, the following steps it will activate. That you can see it also here. The second step will activate it. So in this particular step, it will import the dictionary structures inactively. So by doing this, it helps you to import the dictionary objects in an active SAP systems. If you see, all this activity has its own log files. If you go to our USR SAP trans under log files, we also seen this particular log folder contains all the log files. So all this activity has its own log which logs each and every steps. So whenever you find any problems, you can also go back to this log and find what is exactly happening. So each log files has its own naming convention as well. It's a standard naming convention will be, it will start with the source ID. For example, let's say in our case, it will be ECC. Then you will have a unique identification for each activity. For example, for the ABAP dictionary, it will be H9. Then it will be another one running number. Then dot target SID. Let's say uh, imported by its own specific table, meaning imported meaning to say executed by its own specific table. We have seen R3 trans and we have seen TP program, and we also know there is a lot of RDD programs which is running in the background, which will helps you to uh, import these particular steps, or which will help you to execute this particular step in the import process. And this step will be executed by R3 trans, because R3 trans is the program which actually importing the objects into the SAP system. So the particular step will be done by R3 trans. Then next step is active. In the active step, we have ABAP dictionary activation. Okay. So in the ABAP dictionary activation, it will let's say it will start the downtime of the particular dictionary. Okay, the dictionary will be deactivated and it will start activation. Okay, that time, in this period, you will not be able to use the dictionary which is already imported or which is already existing or modifying. Okay, so we have couple of steps in the same thing. Then the activate steps. So this is the first step. It will start the activation of the particular ABAP dictionary. And the log file for this will be same like source SID. Then it will be A9. Let's go to HTML import and get all the overview of this transport here. Or let's take here, you can see it was trying to import, then it's doing the check version, method of executions. You can see different steps here. Okay, the method of execution only we had some errors. Okay, like this you can see the log for each transport. You will have the log based on the objects which is available in this particular program or particular TR. Okay, and if we go to the OS, then we can see the log. Let's go to the OS of one of this server. Let's go to our ECC system. to USR SAP trans. USR SAP trans. Then you go to the log. Here you can see all the log files. If you can see here, ECC E is already available. Open with Notepad. You can see what all the step which was executed here. So if there is any errors, that will also give you the errors, and what is the error, then you can still find out what has happened to this particular TR. Okay, so each step has its own log file. So we don't have different objects here. We have all the simple TR, so we don't have much here. You can see something here which is big, which has each and every step which is carried out in this particular TR. Some roles. This is the entire step of this particular TR. Okay. Now let's see more detail about TP as well as R3 trans. The R3 trans is the transport tool in the operating system which is used to transport the data between SAP system, or we can say data between your SAP system and the specific TR files. So R3 trans is the main program which is used for this transport. However, the R3 trans is called by a program TP. Okay, TP calls the R3 trans. So SAP recommends R3 trans should not be used directly. It is also possible that you can do import export using R3 trans directly, but it's quite we can say not an advisable way to do it in but however in some exceptional cases even SAP advise you to use R3 trans in exceptional cases when you are doing some system copy or some specific requirement. You will see the notes and say which will tell you what kind of commands you should execute using R3 trans. Let's say if you go to our operating system, if you go to the SAP system, you go to command prompt and say R3 trans. You can see these are the options which is available in R3 trans. Okay, so you can execute, copy a file from F1 to F1. So you need to really know what these commands will do, and it will also create the control files and data files and everything, and you can execute. Generally we don't do it manually until and unless there is a specific note which SAP specifies what command needs to be executed, because inside each of these options what we need to do is not very detailedly explained in any of the documentations. So it is, since it is not necessary that you run this program directly, or it is not advised to run this program directly until unless SAP tell you to do so. So this is still possible to use R3 trans to import export by ourselves, but it is always advisable to use using TP. Okay, the TP in turn will call the R3 trans, then it will do the actual changes in the system. So let's say when you call from TP to the R3 trans, then it will issue a command, or for example in Windows by issuing create process, then it can start executing R3 trans for the specific task which TP would like to execute. So in from the SAP system you will trigger the TP will trigger the R3 trans, and it will do the export, or it can do the import. Okay, then it will do the import. For example, let's say if in the development system you once you release the TRs, then it will trigger the TP. You can also there, you can see that the TP command is being executed in the bottom in the taskbar. If you should have seen this, you can see the TP command is getting executed. The TP intern will call the R3 it will start the extraction and it will put in the directory. Once in the QA system, it will start import, then it will again call the TP and it will get the TR files. It will call the R3 trans, get the TR from the transport directory, and it will start the import. When you are creating the TRs, the R3 trans create the log files and data files in the directory. In the same way, when you are importing, R3 trans will create the log file in the particular transport directory. So this transport directories and everything is specified by TP, but if you use R3 trans, then you need to specify all these things explicitly to R3 trans. But if you call from TP, TP have anyway all the configurations of your STMS settings or the TMS settings, then you can use it like that. The R3 trans have different versions, but the TRs imported from one version can be used by another version. So it's the actual data which is being imported by R3 trans is not depend on the R3 trans which you are executing. This also applicable for different platforms. Let's say you have a TR which is being created in a Windows, can be used in a Unix systems. Let's say you create a TR, you have an SAP system, same like what we have now, and it's a Windows platform. You have the SAP system running in Windows platform. You create a TR, you have the TR file, but you want to import this TR into an Unix file. It will still work because the TRs which you are creating is independent from the platform which you are going to use. In the Unix system, you may have a different version of R3 trans, but still it will support. The data file, that means the TR files, is independent from the R3 trans version or the platform which the SAP is running. Now let's see how does the TP and R3 trans work. So during the import, the first step, let's say if you are executing an import process, then TP calls the uh, operating system to start the import by TP import command in the operating system level. Then the import will start. Let's say if you are triggering a TP import all, that means the mass import, what we have seen it before, that's the import all. Then in that case, if you are also seen the in the STMS, we need to specify the stop mark when the till which TRs we need to import. So we also seen that. So the stop mark will be put automatically whenever you are importing, whenever you are trying to import all TRs from the import queue. Then this stop mark will be set by TP, saying that TP stop mark. Then it will put the stop mark. Then once you finish the import, then the stop mark needs to be removed. Then TP will issue another command to the SAP saying that you clear the stop mark. Then it will delete the stop mark. So this all will be done by the TP itself. The each step of which TP is executing will be logged and recorded in the file which is ulog. Meaning to say, in the log directory you can find the log file which is named as ulog with some numbers. This log file records all the TP related comments. Okay, so if you go to our operating system, you can see that one. Let's exit, go to USR SAP trans, go to log, and if you, yeah, here you can see ulog. Just open with notepad. You can see the TP commands which are all been issued by TP is already here. Okay, so this is ulog. In the OS level, we also have, in the database level, we also have two tables where you can find the details of the transport status. And let's say we can see here the how the TP and R3 trans is going to work. The first step, when you are importing, when you are doing the first step of our import process, then the DD import is going to be executed by the TP trans, where TP trans also will log the files, and also DD import is going to be executed by R3 trans. The R3 trans also will write the uh, log files, and the TP is the one going to interact with the R3 trans, which will keep the buffer ready for R3 trans to execute. Let's say TP, in this case, what it will do, TP's responsibility to keep the buffer intact to R3 trans to start importing. Okay, then that time in the SAP system, you will see the RDDTAT import PD is going to start in this particular step. Then if you go to the second one, this is a step 2 and 4, where TP will directly start doing the execution of this particular uh, program. That means it will directly trigger this program to start the next step. Okay, the step 2. So the TP will make the main interaction of all these particular programs. It will start triggering the programs. R3 trans is only going to do the import and export of the datas. And this is step 2 and 4, where import dispatchers, and you will start the particular RDT jobs, and mm, the status will be always written in the two tables in order to take, or in order to find the next step and how it's going to be executed. Here you can see the whole holistic view how the TP and R3 is going to interact. If you can see here in the whole process, the TP is the one who is going to control the entire execution process of the import. Okay. As I said, import performed in the operating system level should be restricted. If you see in the older versions, in less than let's say in 3.x SAP systems, all the imports are done in the operating system level. Now the transport methodology in SAP is improved a lot. So SAP does not recommend to use the import process using R3 using operating system. However, it is possible that you can import the TRs, or you can import the changes using operating system level. uh, yeah, you have two commands, TP commands, to import all, or import specific transport request. Okay, so using these commands, you can uh, still import it. If in case there is some emergency situation, we still do this. So in that kind of situation, you can see this one. So it is not recommended to use the R3 trans directly, as we've seen, because the TP will take the entire control of the import process. Then TP can trigger the necessary processes, or the following processes for the import. So it is always recommended to use a TP in unavoidable conditions. You can use something like TP import all, otherwise TP import then specific. Yeah, you can see here TP import, then the TR number, then the target system, then client. Then you need to specify the PFL file. PF is equal to TP, then only it will take the your STMS configuration from there, and it will start the import. Is not only this command, TP has lot of different commands. All the commands which we have seen in the log file also can be executed from the operating system level. Example, TP show buffer, which will show the buffers of our SAP system. And you can also use add to buffer, same like what we do in STMS. You go to the add, you can import, you can add the TR to the buffer. You can also do it from the operating system level. So you so if you want to see all the options, we can see it in the SAP system. Let's go to one of our SAP system. If you go to TP, simply type TP. Here you can, it gives you the syntax for exporting and importing, how you have to specify. Otherwise, if you type TP help, TP help, it gives you all the options which is available in TP, import, export, all other options which is available in TP. You can use all these commands in case if it is necessary that you wanted to monitor from the OS level. Okay, with this we are coming to the end of the session. Thank you very much for listening. I will see you in the next session. Bye bye.